he would replace like her biological part with like a robotic part.
Yeah.
And I was actually really into it. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I would like to see like exactly how that happened, how their battles were. And then right when she stopped saying this, I knew it was so predictable. Of course, James Gunn, his brother, Sean Gunn, is one of the Ravagers. Yeah. And then he just goes like, okay. And I'm like, of course they're going to just try to go straight into comedy. They're like, it's like they're scared to get too serious. That he's like trigger shy. He's like, all right, let's go to another joke because that's what's landing right now. Yeah. So then they tried to put there were so many moments like that.
Yeah, I mean, they had so many family dynamics here.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was like the sisters battling, and then the abusive father with Thanos. Like, he's abusing them, and so they have a common enemy, but they hate each other at the same time. Yeah. And then you have the absentee father, right? Yeah. And then also Ego was the abusive father in a way. Like, so he was trying to kill his own son and all these other kids.
Yeah.
And then you have, like, the father-son relationship, which was great. I mean, it was just... And then you have Star-Lord and Gamora. Like, are they going to hook up? Are they not? I'm like, am I watching, like, a date...
a soap opera.
A soap opera or something. Yeah. And then Baby Groot is, like, falling asleep on them. And I'm like, it's just... It's trying so hard to get an emotional response out of you all the time. And then it flips right to comedy. It's like... Which one are you going to be? Are you going to be a comedy movie, or are you just trying to get emotion out of it?
Yeah.
Which one are you?
I thought Yondu's character arc was probably the best part of the movie.
He was definitely my favorite part. Yeah, of the movie. Him and Drax definitely standouts in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both those actors, they did phenomenal in this movie.
Yeah,
along with Chris Pratt, of course, he delivered.
Because in the story, Ego, he pretty much gets around in the galaxy and all that stuff, plants a seed.
Yeah,
and he wants someone to conquer the universe with him, and he needs their help. So every child that him and Yondu made a pact or whatever, or made a deal, Yondu brings the kids over, and like by that time, when he got Peter Quill, that's when Yondu realizes what Ego was doing. He was pretty much killing his kids.
Yeah, they didn't have that.
If they didn't have that, the genetics of a god, I guess, or celestial, or whatever you call it. But yeah, and then that's when Yondu didn't bring Peter Quill back to Ego, and then that right there was interesting because he was protecting him, and that right there was a real good emotional moment for me. And then the funeral part also.
But they didn't actually explain how Yondu knew that Peter Quill had that gene. Or, like, but I guess he didn't need to know. He just didn't want to be killed.
They just said, like, I guess he found out and then he just didn't take him.
I guess,
so it was it was by pure coincidence that he was the one that he decided not to take back. And, oh, by the way, he just happened to have the celestial gene or whatever.
No, like, I think Yondu found out. Maybe they said in the movie like how he found out, but I'm pretty sure he didn't.
I don't think they ever explained
I don't think
that.
they did because they did. Obviously, Yondu knows he's not only a human, so it's like. But I don't think he even knew that because if you see the skulls, like how many there were,
right.
It was like. I think it was just like pretty much like, okay, you're the last one, and then it just happens. Just because story purposes, I think they decided to do it. They're not gonna go into little explanations why this happens. I think they just wanted you to be like. Okay, like you understand. He's the one.
That one line though, where he saves Peter Quill and he's like taking him up to the spaceship. He's like, "He may be your father, but I'm your daddy boy."
Yeah. Oh, that was good.
That was a good one.
And you're right. And that was probably the best arc out of even more than Peter Quill's. Like that was the best arc out of all of them, I think. And like he brought up the Ravagers. I mean, he brought in a lot of like smaller plot lines to this whole movie. Because he brought in all of the Ravagers, and of course, who else showed up, right? Sylvester Stallone and all these other characters, and like what's her name from all of the other movies, like Hidden Dagger. I can't remember what's her name now, but all of the other the leaders of the Ravagers, like they were all well-known actors too. And of course, I can't think of
Ving Rhames was one of
them.
Did
you? Well, apparently they were. In the comic books, they were the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they became Ravagers and all that stuff. And Yondu was a part of that crew, but he was exiled because, of course, he was taking the kids to Ego
because he thought he was doing a noble thing.
Yeah, and they don't do trafficking or whatever they said. Yeah,
but I mean, without him, though, to your point, without him as that central piece, you would never get the Ravagers and that backstory. Yeah. So, like, he was that key element, which was awesome.
Taserface.
The first time was really funny, and then they just kept playing on it.
I wasn't even laughing at that part when Raccoon was making fun of him. I'm like,
that makeup too was honestly like it was terrible. The guy was a terrible actor. Like I hated that guy, Taserface. Like I was like, and it wasn't like a good hate. I was like, oh my god, I'm like, I hate him so much. He's a good villain. No, he was just annoying me.
He overacted.
Exactly.
Like a lot of the Ravagers did annoy. What was that one guy? Like he was in the 8 Mile. You know what I'm talking about? That white guy.
Cheddar Bob, was that him?
Cheddar Bob, that's
Cheddar
right.
Bob. That's the guy that was in it. He was so out of place. Like I was like, I cannot believe this guy being in like a Ravager's like in outer space.
It'd been awesome if he just shot himself.
Yeah, he shot himself in the leg.
I was just like, I don't know, man, but definitely for me, Yondu was a standout. Drax, Dave Bautista, man, he really showed some of his comedy like you didn't think like he would have, because in the first one he's so serious.
Yeah,
he has a little bit of comedic moments.
Yeah.
But this one, it was just like, it's pretty much every time he was on screen, you're like, there's gonna be something funny, and I felt like it was gonna land for me.
Yeah, the back and forth between him and Mantis was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
They had one of the best dynamics, like because he was just so like blunt and she was so naive.
He was like, and it was funny because he was trying to be nice about it too.
Right, like he was just blunt and she was so naive. Like they just worked real well together.
When he was laying in bed and like he's like, I thought I made it clear.
Yeah, he's like, I was like too skinny for me. Basically,
he's like, I like a girl with meat on her bones.
Yeah. It's
like his comedy was like perfect. I thought Rocket was
not that.
Rocket was hit or miss with me.
Yeah.
There was times when they're like, of course they're like, okay, he's a raccoon. Like he doesn't like being called raccoon. So it was
they covered that in the first volume 1.
It was a lot of rehash.
Yeah, it was he didn't have a new. Well, although I did write down, I thought that was interesting, the bromance between him and Yondu. Like they did have like a little bromance at the end where they understood each other.
Yeah,
and like
that
almost hit. But I wasn't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It almost hit, but it didn't for me.
It worked for me. I thought.
For me, I think it hit a little bit because he was cracking through that shell of Rocket, where it's like I know who you are. You know, I am you. We're the same person. And I liked it because Rocket, of course, like he was like, no, you don't know me, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know who you are. He's like, you're looking in the mirror right now.
But it hit from Yondu's perspective for me, but not Rocket. I think that's why.
I think they went a little too fast.
Yondu.
Where Rocket was like, right after that, he was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah,
like,
he's like, hey, we're best friends now. I'm like, no. So Yondu, I got it because Yondu was kind of like this artifact father figure for all of them, right? So I got the Yondu perspective, but Rocket, I was like, I just didn't get his character arc in this movie.
Yeah.
It was just too many other better players out there.
Yeah, but also like what EJ said, talking about the Sovereign. Why were they even in the movie?
I was just about to bring that up.
They were pretty much in the movie just for the end credits.
They did not have to be in that movie at all.
They just look cool in gold, basically. They were
and they didn't even look that cool. Like they were even trying to have a little comedy like with their like the whole arcade ships where they're not on the ships. And
then rolling out the blue like carpet. I was like, "Oh, you serious with this?"
That was another part where I hated so much MCU movies. What's with this like mindless like Avengers? The first Avengers. What do they have? The Chitauri. Like they're just like aliens. They're like you don't know like when your heroes kill them. There's like you don't feel bad for them, right?
Right.
And then all the next Avengers movie. What was with the robots, with Ultron, the Ultron robots, like it's like just robots. They're just smashing robots. This one, they're not even in the ships. So they're just you're shooting ships, and it's like nothing's there.
Right.
And they try to play off like, it's like an arcade. So they definitely did not land. Ego, I'm sorry, but for me, Kurt Russell, like he's a great actor and everything, but I just felt like again he was just a twirly mustache villain again. Like there was no backstory. Like he was pretty much just like I want to control everything.
Nothing new. I mean, that's all Marvel villains. Like, who's stronger than who in the Marvel?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a strong villain. I mean, I did like the way he acted, but I think in that part it was the director's fault because I don't know. Like, I think.
But then is it the director's fault or is it then the producer's fault? Like Kevin Feige is, of course, our Lord and Savior. Like he's like gives us these amazing movies, but there's a reason why he's even said it. He wants our heroes to be heroes. Like that's the problem. Like they're never in trouble. They're always going to get out of it.
Yeah, but I mean, Ego was. I mean, I don't remember if he was a Celestial or not in the original canon, but
he's not. No, he was just a planet.
He was just a living planet.
Yeah.
Who was. I mean, and that's where they. I don't know. I know they had explained Peter Quill holding an Infinity Stone, and this was their best attempt to do that.
For me, I thought it was just too much exposition.
Yeah,
it was like Doctor Strange, like just way too much exposition. They didn't really give Ego a chance to like actually thaw out as a character.
They were. I don't know, man.
Like how many villains in the MCU want to take over the galaxy? Like all of them. All of them. So this wasn't anything new. It wasn't a new threat. It was just new heroes taking on the same threat with a new name, right? So, and I don't know.
Maybe it would have hit for me if they would have taken out the Sovereign, the gold people.
Yeah.
Like let that. Okay. So you did a job for them. Okay, whatever. like the whole batteries thing. I just didn't care. I was like, they're still on this batteries thing,
Yeah.
and I like how they like try to tie it in. They're like, we need these batteries. We're going. We have these batteries. Let's blow up Ego.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, okay, the Sovereign. They're just like, and at the end credits, like when they reveal, okay, but that was
Warlock.
a really stupid.
That was a dumb
way to
honestly,
get Adam Warlock. Oh my! They stole our batteries. They're never gonna steal from us again. Let's Adam Warlock.
Let's create probably one of the most powerful
Exactly.
beings.
Yeah,
or
your
whatever.
little batteries,
Adam
man.
Warlock.
They were in that movie just for the end credits, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That was their purpose. They were trying to like try to connect
It
it.
was like an origin story for Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
Subplot.
And then you remember the Stan Lee cameo?
I actually did like that cameo.
People are saying that they're like tying in all of him in every Marvel movie now. That's saying that he's like one of the Watchers and all that stuff. I thought that was pretty.
He's the
I
one
like that he
above
was
all.
talking to the Watchers too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he's the one above all. And if you look at like the most powerful MCU characters, the one
Stan Lee.
above all is Stan Lee.
So he's the one that he knows everything.
Yeah, I mean, he is.
I do like because I think Kevin Feige he just confirmed it like a day after the movie came out, like Friday, that I guess they share Fox and Marvel share the rights for the Watchers, which I didn't know because I'm like I know the Watchers from the comics and everything, but I was like kind of surprised that they actually did that. Like that, I thought they were going to try a whole thing where he was on a planet because in the first Guardians he was just in the city of one of the planets talking to a girl, you know?
Yeah.
And this one he was just like explaining like a story, like it sounded like he was like saying something about FedEx. I think he was talking about Civil War when he's like, "Oh, I delivered this this package to Tony Stank," you know?
Yeah.
I think they were trying to tie that in.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty cool.
It happened so fast. Like I didn't. Catch
Oh yeah,
a
it was
lot
literally
of the
like they were
detail.
just
Yeah,
I
I looked at Mike too. I'm like, dude, did you see that? He's like, no, who was it? I'm like, the Watchers.
Yeah,
the
I didn't get
Watchers.
who he was talking to. I mean, I heard, and I was like, yeah, it's Stan Lee, but I was like, who is that supposed to be that he's talking to?
Yeah.
At first, I thought
didn't
it was the
get the
Guardians.
background.
I thought the Guardians from like Green Lantern, you know,
Yeah.
with the big heads, like they look so much alike. I was like, is that the Guardians?
See, I thought it was the other Celestials because they're supposed to be a group of Celestials.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe he's talking to the other Celestials or
No,
what?
it was just the Watchers. They just pretty much watch over everything.
Yeah, I mean,
But it was, yeah. I mean, that was. What'd you guys think of Gamora? They didn't show that much backstory into her besides the whole sisters thing. But I think acting wise,
she had a lot more backstory in the first volume.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah.
yeah.
I thought she did good though.
I thought she did good too.
I thought Nebula, her real name's like Karen Gillian or something.
Yeah.
I thought she was really good. Like she hit the marks. Like sometimes she would just be like, okay, I just want to kill Thanos. But I like how they tied the whole.
Yeah.
I needed a sister,
That's why. Yeah.
and you just wanted to win.
Right.
Those parts landed for me. The parts that didn't land, where it was just like, I don't care what you're doing. Like Yondu died, whatever. Like I want to go kill Thanos. That's my objective. But it was. What do you guys think? Did you guys expect Yondu to bite the dust?
I did not think he was gonna die.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I thought Nebula was. Right when she went, like Gamora was falling down one of those pits or something, I thought she was going to go
Yeah.
down somehow, like sacrifice herself for her sister. And I was like, that would have been a good noble ending. They finally connected. But with Yondu, I was kind of surprised. But you kind of saw like where it was going when Rocket was like, I have what's it called? A spacesuit.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing?
And one mask or something
One-
like
a
that.
mask.
And mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, oh man.
I mean, but he played that father figure for all of them. So again, it's very similar to, I think we already talked about this, Star Wars in a lot of ways, right? The father figure gives himself up and gives himself out to the universe to save everybody else.
Yeah.
So, you know, when he did that, like the funeral really brought everybody together.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a fitting end for his funeral to
Yeah.
kind of give himself not only for his team, but to bring everybody. Because even the Ravagers, like, this is the first time we assembled together for the first time.
Yeah.
In a long time. So I mean, it was a very fitting and symbolic thing. I don't know what could you do with 3, but for his arc, that was a great completion of his arc.
It definitely was.
I mean, but you almost want to see him in the third one. He had such an integral part in the second one.
Yeah.
Why would you not? I mean, no one ever really dies in Marvel. Like that's the whole storyline.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe they might bring him back.
Right.
Which I'm kind of scared.
But they're also going to bring back the gold people. I don't get that. That part really kills me. And what kills me more about that, like you were talking about those drones, like the drone airplanes. If you had watched the last Star Trek movie, that whole sequence of events, it looks exactly
the same.
The same
Which one?
Like
bees.
The Darkness, I think it was Star Trek Darkness. Into Beyond, yeah.
Is that the one
Star
that
Trek Beyond, yeah.
Is that the one that Idris Elba as a bad guy?
Yeah.
You remember when the spaceships, they were just going through the
when
Enterprise?
They were going through the Enterprise.
Oh,
and, like, they were all drones. That was